All right, welcome everybody. I am excited today to have Shane Walls with me as my expert guest. Now, a lot of the people that I work with are high income earners, and one of the biggest challenges that they have is taxes. So I've decided to invite Shane with me so that he can help share some of his best secrets to paying even less of your hard-earned money to the government so you can keep more of it in your own pocket and reinvest it more in your own business. So welcome. I'm so glad that you're here, Shane.
Thank you.
And Shane, just as a brief introduction, Shane's the CEO of Advisor Bridge Asset Management, and Shane helps profitable firms in Texas save even more on their taxes. Now, Shane, that's a very specific niche. How did you get into that? How did you decide that?
Well, when I became a financial advisor, before that, I had actually built a company from 3 million to 34 million in about 3 years. So I was able to actually have the hands-on of the business, how everything works. So I have a really good understanding, what these business owners are going through, not only from a tax perspective, but from their, just running their business day to day. So I'm able to help in a lot of different areas.
Sure.
I'm not only an advisor on the assets that we manage and everything, but I also help, on the day-to-day operations and connect them to the right people when they can't handle certain things on their own.
Yeah.
They can outsource things, and a lot of times they don't know about this, especially the startups or the smaller businesses that I deal with. So, I'm kind of hands-on in a lot of different areas right there.
Nice. Yeah, no, and I think that's so important because I've run multiple businesses myself, and there's a huge difference between someone that is simply an advisor, which is absolutely valuable because they have their area of expertise.
Right.
But also the person who's been in the business owner's shoes, knows the struggles, knows the opportunities, but really has an understanding. That's great. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. So part of my duties when I was running that company was, trying to figure out how we could take home more money because I figured out really quick it was a problem. It's a huge problem because when we got up to 20 million point, it was it was crazy how much taxes we started paying on every in a bunch of different areas. And so I just I became an expert on that side of it. And then when I became an advisor, I was like, now I have a good understanding of what to already do, from a small company on tax all the way up to $50 million company. So.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of how. So I became an advisor. Yeah, I could manage assets, focus on returns, but I really honed in on saving taxes for these business owners. So I didn't know what to do with a single person that had money that didn't have a business because I was like, I know what a business owner needs. Now I do have some clients that are individuals, but I really focus on business owners because I can help them so much more. Than I can the other one, which is more fun. The tax side of everything is where I have my fun at, and I enjoy it because we like beating the IRS.
Just curiosity.
Can you hear okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. I hear my voice echoing. I'm not sure if the speaker, if you can turn down or not, but anyways,
we'll turn it down a little bit.
We'll continue. Okay, so. I'm just curious, have you ever met a business owner that doesn't want to save even more in taxes? Are they like, this is my duty, I need to send more to the government?
I have, but they were not paying money. I can't help you if you don't have any income coming in. That's just
okay. There you go. So, we have billed this blab as very specifically how to save $100,000 on taxes. And so, I like to make sure that we deliver on our promise. And so I believe you have a case study of one of the clients that you've worked with where you have saved them. I think you were telling me not just 100, but 109,042 cents or something.
$9,296. So that was
there we go. Okay.
Case specific to this blab, but we larger companies we can say I've got one that's saving about I think the last time I looked at it, last year they saved about $346,000, but and on up depending on how large the company is. So
sure.
But I'll give you an example of one that we just implemented last year, so you can kind of get an idea how they work. And so a lot of these companies already have a 401k, and so these owners are like, I can put $18,000 to a 401k plus maybe the profit sharing side of a 401k up to, which is up to 30. So about $50,000 total is what they can put into a 401k in a year. And a lot of people simply don't know about these other specialty types of plans that are layered on top of a 401k. And the name of the plan are defined benefit plans and cash balance plans that layer on top of a 401k. And they fit really better for companies that don't have a ton of employees, because you have to give a certain percentage away to the employees. So in this particular case, this guy had no employees, which is even better. But I mean, a lot of people are still doing maybe a safe harbor match or some kind of matching on a 401k where they're giving 3%, maybe 5%, up to 6% away is what I've seen on a lot of 401ks. They're already giving some money away, so it makes it pretty simple. As long as they don't have, if they're doing that and they got 50 employees is one thing, but if they, the less they have of employees, the better off it is, for that makes sense. So we crunch the numbers. I have an actuary I work with, but in this particular case, this guy was making about $1 million a year, in his practice. Practice bringing on about $1 million a year. And he paid about almost $375,000 in tax. He's making I think it's 1.2 million, and paying 370. So his CPA was that's what he was irritated with CPA, because it's the same story year after year. His taxes keep going up because the government is slowly working in, taking away itemized deductions, doing all these things that you don't see it, but you feel it. So he had reached out to me and found me from a referral and said, "Hey, I hear you can help me. My CPA is not really doing anything, and blah, blah, blah." And what happens is these CPA firms, especially the good ones, get busy, and they're not doing enough. They're not doing the planning that they used to do. And these guys are, they're not working with advisors like me or anything like that. And they're just doing their taxes, and it's not really helping the client. So in this particular case, I said, yeah, there is, tell me a little bit about your company. So no employees, his wife's actually on a payroll. And so, after he told me that, I was like, okay, well, this is going to be pretty simple. And we went back and took the data and came back to him and actually met with his CPA, and himself was able to put away $133,000 a year versus $50,000, and his wife, being on the plan, was able to put in $69,000 total between I call it a combo plan, because it's a 401k plus the cash balance plan layered on top of it. So, but we kind of treat it as one plan, because we've got one third-party administrator that does the numbers every year, because they're flexible too. And so between the two of them, and actually he was paying his mom too, so we added her in there for his benefit. And this is all the creative part of understanding.
This is all legal, right?
How these plans work and what you can do with them, especially if there's a parent involved, because it has to do with the age. This was the 40-year-old, and his wife was even younger. So we're like, okay, he's like, as much as we can put into this plan, I'd like to do so. And, I had a conversation about his mother. He told me about that. So his mother was able to put in another additional $40,000 a year. So the total contribution in this particular case is $242,880, which saved him $109,296 in taxes.
Therefore, the $100,000.
That's a small, it's a pretty. I mean, it's a very profitable firm, but small firm. But that's that's just a small example. And if he was in his 50s or 60s, the numbers would jump up to probably $300,000-$400,000 that he'd be able to save, because it's based on your age and being really young. A lot of people that may have seen these plans, if they're not talking to the right firm that knows how to do these numbers, or crunch the numbers, because there's 7 ways to do it, then they come back with numbers that don't look so good. Because I've worked with some of those firms before that are my actuaries, and I've found the best actuaries out there that have been doing this for over 25 years, and it makes a huge difference on the outcome. And me understanding on my side what to look for to put the numbers together for them to go crunch them is huge. So us as a team is what makes it happen.
So yeah, and you said team. So typically, do you work in in conjunction with your client's existing CPAs, or how does that work?
Yeah. So in this case, he'd been working with a CPA for a long time, really had a great relationship, didn't want to, get rid of her or anything like that. So, that's the first thing I asked him. I said, are you looking for another CPA, or you want to keep your existing? He said, I'd really like to keep my existing, and you guys work together and do all this stuff without me even knowing about it. He said, this is not my expertise. I started laughing because I said, that's the reason that my company is called Advisor Bridge. Because I think, and this is what I saw even back when I was running this other company, we had a team of advisors that worked behind the scenes for us, so we didn't have to get involved. And only occasionally do we have to answer some questions. But this is what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, me, the CPA, and then I have some attorneys too that we all work together. So we're passing information along to each other, trying to figure out on an annual basis what we can save them based on what's going on this year without them even knowing about it. So, that's the ideal situation where they trust us all. It's a matter of, it takes a little time to build trust, but I think when I come in and show them what I can do for them in a tax, the trust level goes, it comes up there with the CPA almost. But when we start working together, the CPA is like, oh yeah, this, he's a perfect fit for what we're trying to do. So yeah, that's great, because it's not really always the CPA's fault that this happens, because a lot of times they get involved with other advisors that are not tax minded. They're just trying to sell stuff like annuities and things like that. So if you got an annuity, watch out. But it's, those little different vehicles, they just try to sell stuff, and we're like, okay, we have strategies that we work to optimize their tax situation. So, that's what it's all about. And so when they meet me, they're like, wow, yeah, you're a little different, than what I've met in the past, because they would occasionally tell me these stories when I met an advisor, and then they were just trying to sell them, stuff that really didn't even make sense, and they just get a bad taste in their mouth. So it's not, you can't blame it on the CPA always, and they're so busy. So it's just good. However we meet it ends up working out pretty good. Some of these people are looking for new CPAs, because maybe they don't have a good relationship, but whatever they want to do is fine with me, but I know I can help optimize their tax situation with whoever they're working with. And I've got quite a few handfuls of CPAs in different cities that are really good CPAs that I have met and vetted out already. So I can help them look for CPAs as well.
And you work, excuse me, and you work specifically with the profitable firms in Texas.
That's right. Profitable firms. That's,
profitable firms in Texas.
It doesn't make sense if they're not making any money for what I do, because, I help them save money. If they don't have any money, they're not profitable. They're not saving any money yet, and they're not having tax problems. So, but I have worked with firms on, that have gotten started on the life insurance side, where the banks come to me and say, hey, he needs a life insurance policy and a disability policy before we open the practice up, because we want to make sure we get paid if something happens to them. That's when I've got a handful of clients that have started like that are doing, just insane amounts of volume that I've met like that. So, it's not that I wouldn't work with a company like that. It's just it's a much better situation when somebody's having a tax pain and I can come in and help. So.
Right. Well, and it's a lot more rewarding, I'm sure, because it's like
a lot more. It's fun.
It's fun for you, and it's fun for them in the sense that, one, I don't have to, I don't have to pay this much in taxes anymore. But two, I don't need to become an expert myself in all of these details, because, if you're running a business, you need a team of experts. You need people that are smarter than you in that area of expertise. And I think you nailed it, that you trust, that have your best interests in place to get the result that you want. So I think that's fantastic. Now, you also, you were telling me about another case that you worked with, and a periodontist who I believe recently sold his practice.
Yeah.
Tell me about that one.
So, last year it was another referral. He was getting ready to sell his practice. And here's the problem. They don't really understand sometimes how much they're going to pay in taxes when they sell an asset that large. This guy was selling, it was about $5.6 million. And a lot of people will plan on getting $5.6 million when they're planning on retiring. And then when they get the rude awakening on how much they're going to have to pay in taxes, a lot of them have to stop the sale. When they figure that out, not because a lot of them, just don't know that the capital gains tax is going to kill them that much, and the income tax on that last year. So, in this guy's particular situation, he had the money to retire, whether he would have got killed in taxes or not. But long story short, between the income he had coming in, and the sale and the capital gains tax. We saved him $2.4 million in taxes on that $5.6 million asset sale from last year.
Wow.
So huge difference in what he's able to have accumulated after we did what we did. So it was and those are perfect situations. So I try to work with these people to save taxes along the way. And then we plan, and we know exactly what they can sell their company for, how much they're going to have when they're left over, and then we plan to make sure that lasts until age 90. I can crunch the numbers. I got illustrations we can go through that actually tell you, if it's taxable stuff or it's not taxable. So I try to make as much of the assets non-taxable when they're even taking the money as distributions when they retire. We have a whole system. There's about 3 different strategies that work hand in hand on how that works, and it's really awesome. Just some tax attorneys I've met along the way, and some unbelievable CPAs that have taught me some of these things, and then what I'm able to do is just a great asset for them, and they can retire early. I just talked to a guy the other day, same thing. He said, so basically you're telling me I'm better retire earlier. In his situation, for sure, he had a lot of assets, so he was selling for a large number. So we're going to be able to really help him too. So it's good. It's good to know some things that normal advisors don't really get into these aspects, and so I've just learned to separate myself from the pack in the business owner field. So it's fun, and it's fun for me. So
I can imagine, just hearing about saving that much money in taxes, gets me excited. So
and it does, because it's hardcore, especially as the tax laws are changing along the way. You're getting your itemized deductions are going away. All these other taxes are bringing in that you don't even see because people are filling it year after year. And to be able to figure out how to really come off the top and save some of that of your adjusted gross income along the way, and then have a plan later on not to be taxed on your asset sale, over the years makes huge impact on your end story and what you're going to have.
Wow. So those are 2 fantastic examples, and so if for anyone, for those profitable business owners in Texas that are ready to stop keeping more of their hard-earned profits in their own pocket, what's the next step? How can they get in touch with you, Shane?
Best way to get in touch with me, and best way to check you on, I've got a website, the LinkedIn page. Go type in Shane Walls, and that'll bring up my LinkedIn page. You can message me from LinkedIn or email me, which is even better. So Shane@advisorbridgeinfo.com, SHANE at like financial advisor, ADVISORBRIDGEINFO.com. Those are the 2 best ways to contact me, and that's it.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on today. I'm excited about saving on taxes now, keeping more of my own money. So thank you so much for your time and for your insight today, Shane.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Bye.
Take care.
Sure.